Welcome to Take a Breath, a podcast for creating practical calm in the messy middle of midlife. I'm Polly, and this is your space to pause. Because life in midlife is full on, between work, family, menopause, and the mental load, your nervous system can easily end up in constant overdrive, leaving you feeling exhausted, reactive, and overwhelmed by even the smallest things. Each week, I'll share my own tools alongside honest conversations and practical nervous system support to help you create more calm, peace, joy, and inner steadiness. So whenever you're ready, let's take a breath in through the nose, feel your belly rise, your ribs expand, and as you exhale, let's begin. Hello, and welcome back to Take a Breath. Now, today I thought I would include in this episode some snippets from my Breathe Better Basics course, which is all about teaching you how to optimize your breathing. People ask me all the time, what do I need to do to optimize my breathing? Because surely, I breathe all the time. Is that not just enough? But actually, breathing is one of those things which is a habit. There's two parts of the brain where breathing comes from. One of them is like a ventilator. It just keeps you breathing whatever. But there is another part in your brain which actually is responsible for how we breathe. So breathing is a habit, and we can get into bad habits. And because breathing has a direct effect on your nervous system, stress and anxiety can change the way that you breathe. So when you're stressed, our body triggers that fight or flight response, which prepares ourselves to run away or to fight. But this also leads to faster breathing, shallower breathing. So we're breathing more from the chest because our bodies are trying to prepare us for that fighting or that running away. But breathing and stress have a two-way relationship. So just as stress makes us breathe faster, breathing too quickly or shallowly also signals to our brain that we're in danger, even when we're not. And so that activates the stress response. It increases your heart rate, and it causes those stress hormones to be released, which then makes breathing even more faster and inefficient. And it creates a vicious cycle because stress then fuels poor breathing, and the poor breathing fuels more stress. I mean, that breathing can really help when you need to fight or you need to run away. But actually, over time, it's really not very good for us, and it can cause us breathing just requires more effort than it needs to be. We're not fully using our diaphragm to its optimum. It in turn then limits our oxygen delivery to the lower parts of our lungs, where oxygen is best absorbed in the bloodstream, and ultimately it impacts our energy, our focus, and our overall health. And if inefficient breathing, especially mouth breathing, becomes a long-term habit, it can lead to increased stress on your heart, and so cardiovascular issues, metabolic issues, much higher anxiety levels. And also, over time, it's been found that breathing, particularly mouth breathing, but breathing inefficiently, it can cause poor posture, even jaw misalignment. We tend to lose that lower jaw definition a little bit more. So it's really very important to optimize our breathing as best we can. So today I have decided to take some clips from my online course called Breathe Better Basics. And in these clips, I am explaining the basics really of better breathing following an acronym called NGSE. So I will explain that in these clips. If you are interested in practicing this, because ultimately breathing is a habit, how you breathe is a habit. So we need to be consistent by practicing good, efficient breathing. If you're interested in doing that, check out the full Breathe Better Basics course. It's only £47, and there are some guided audios. They're only 10 minutes each. There's 5 of them in total, where I guide you through simple practices. You can just literally press play on your phone and practice really good, optimal breathing. So I hope you enjoy this. If you've got any questions, please do get in touch. But I'm going to now hand over to myself and some of this Breathe Better Basics course. Okay, now learning how to optimize your breathing is actually incredibly simple. I'm going to teach you to breathe using what I call the NGSE method. Now, I wish the acronym spelt nose, but it doesn't. It's close enough though, so I hope that you remember it. This is super simple. It focuses on 4 key principles. The N is for nasal, the G is for gentle, the S is for slow, and E is for expansive. The NGSE method will help you develop healthy breathing habits that will become automatic. But as I've said before, like any new habit or behavior, it takes practice. I can't reiterate that enough. So as I've said, to change a behavior, like how you breathe, needs practice. But the best part about breathing is that we have access to it all of the time. So the more you become aware of how you're breathing and implement what you're going to learn, the sooner it will become automatic. This is something you can do when you're driving, when you're watching TV, when you're walking. So it's about how you breathe 24 hours a day. But please don't get obsessed with it, because we don't want to become too controlling over the breath. That's losing the point altogether. So it's just about noticing how you're breathing and just trying to implement this into everyday life, but not getting too caught up in controlling it all of the time. Remembering, though, on that note, that we are all works in progress. It is a constant practice. No one's ever perfect. I know I don't always breathe using this method, but as long as I can come back to it, as long as I'm aware of how I'm breathing and just practicing as often as I can, that's going to ensure I feel as good as I can. So let's talk about the N for nasal breathing. We are designed to be breathing in and out of our noses the majority of the time. Yes, we do have the ability to breathe through our mouths, but only when we absolutely have to. So, for example, when we are running up a hill as fast as we can, we'll need to breathe through our mouths because our body is working much harder and it's creating a load of CO2, which we can obviously get rid of a lot quicker using our mouth because it's going to be building up and we're going to get that feeling of air hunger. The only other times really that we breathe through our mouths is when we're sick, when we're unwell, when we've got a blocked up nose. And interestingly, all other mammals generally breathe through their noses, except dogs. When they get too hot, they start to pant because they don't sweat like us humans. And cats and horses will only mouth breathe when they're overheated, if they're injured, they're stressed, or they're unwell. So that's quite interesting. And we're essentially the same. But animals are very good at shaking off their stress. You just have to see a dog. Well, my dog, for example, getting out of the car, he doesn't like going in the car. And when he gets out of the car, he gives himself a really good shake. He shakes off his stress. And so then he can return to nasal breathing. And I really notice it in the car. He pants, he breathes through his mouth. He's a little bit stressed, but he shakes it off when he gets out and returns to breathing through his nose. However, unfortunately, us humans aren't so good at that. And we often remain in our stress response. So we stay in that sort of high aroused state. And that then signals to our brain that we're not safe. It creates, carries on creating that breathing pattern. And when we get stuck in that breathing pattern. So very simply, your nose is for breathing, your mouth is for eating. And also, your nose has so many functions. It's actually a high-tech air filter. So inside it's lined with lots of little tiny hairs which work around the clock to trap dust, bacteria, allergens. In fact, your nose protects you from over about 20 billion unwanted particles every single day. It also warms and humidifies the air before it reaches into your lungs. So it really does make breathing smoother, more efficient, and a load healthier. A lot of people assume that breathing through their mouth allows them to take in more oxygen, especially during exercise. I've actually become quite obsessed by watching how many people mouth breathe when they're running or when they're working out. But actually, the research shows the opposite. When you breathe through your nose, it actually boosts oxygen delivery by up to 20% and is 22% more efficient than mouth breathing. So basically what that means is you get more oxygen reaching your muscles, your brain with less effort. It's all good. And the knock-on effect of that is that you feel more energy, you feel more focused, you feel more strong. If you're wondering about having a snotty nose or a blocked up nose, then you might be interested to learn that actually mouth breathing can actually make you feel even more blocked up and more congested, as opposed to nasal breathing, which often encourages better airflow and it helps to keep your airways open over time. So if you are feeling congested or, sticking to nose breathing as much as is actually possible can actually help to clear it up. Also, when you breathe through your nose, you're naturally inhaling a powerful molecule called nitric oxide. This is something which has been discovered relatively recently. Nitric oxide plays a really important role in your health. So it does a couple of things. It helps protect you against infections because it kills viruses and bacteria. It also improves circulation and oxygen absorption in the lungs by opening up your blood vessels. So breathing through your nose is so beneficial in so many ways. If you are a mouth breather, it does take a little bit of time to make the change, but it is absolutely possible. So how do you build the habit of starting to breathe more frequently through your nose? The first thing to do is to start building awareness of how you are breathing. So what I recommend to all my clients, and I did this myself as well, I started to set an alarm to go off on my phone periodically throughout the day. So maybe every hour, every couple of hours. And each time it goes off, it could just be like a ding. Check in with yourself. How are you breathing? Are you breathing through your mouth? Are you breathing through your nose? If you catch yourself mouth breathing, just gently switch to breathing through your nose. Okay, so E is for expansive breathing. So although the E is at the end of the acronym NGSE, I'm going to go with that next because it's really quite key to the mechanics of breathing. Now, E is for expansive. This is about relearning how to use your breathing muscles as efficiently as possible. Some people prefer to call this belly breathing, while others call it diaphragmatic breathing. Personally, I prefer to call it expansive breathing because belly breathing can actually be quite confusing. You might actually use your stomach muscles to push your belly out. You might think that that's breathing properly, but actually it's not. We don't want to use the belly muscles, the stomach muscles to breathe out. It's going to be the diaphragm, which is causing the belly to move. And since the diaphragm is always involved in breathing, even inefficient and dysfunctional breathing, I don't think it's actually saying what we're doing. So I think expansive is a more accurate way to describe this technique. To start with, I'm going to break it down into 3 simple steps to help you really tune into each part of your breath. This is going to allow your brain to recognize how it feels to breathe in this way, using the different breathing muscles. And eventually, it's all going to become second nature. So firstly, just find yourself a comfortable position, sitting down, lying down, whatever feels most comfortable for you, but just making sure you've got space for your diaphragm. Close your eyes if that feels good and just start to connect with your breath. Now, I want you just to bring your attention to your diaphragm. It's that large, smooth muscle just under your rib cage. And it's your primary muscles, remember, your primary muscle used for breathing. So when you breathe in, you're going to feel your belly expand. And then as you exhale, you want it to fall. So to start with, just place one hand on your belly. We're just going to breathe into the belly. Remember, don't push out with your belly muscles or your stomach muscles. We just want to try and engage that diaphragm as much as possible. So breathing in through the nose and letting it go. As you breathe in, just seeing if you can feel that belly gently rise without pushing it out yourself. And then as you exhale, just feeling the belly fall. So again, breathing in through your nose. I will only ever recommend brands that I know, love, and use myself. And one of those is Ancient and Brave. Honestly, they've become part of my daily habits. The very first thing I do every morning is pour myself a big glass of water with their true hydration in it. It feels like such a simple ritual, but it really sets me up for the day. And I know I'm properly rehydrating with their blend of electrolytes and minerals, especially before I exercise, which I always do in the morning. Then later on, when I make my coffee, I stir in their true collagen powder into the coffee. Now, it blends in straight away, no fuss, there's no taste, and collagen is something we naturally lose as we age, but it's so important for our skin, joints, and overall vitality. Now, I'll be honest, Ancient and Brave may cost a little more than some of the tubs you'll spot on supermarket shelves, but the difference is you're getting the highest quality ingredients, sourced with integrity and tested to a higher standard, and absolutely no nasties added. That's why I trust them and why I think they're worth every penny. And because I want you to be able to try them out for yourself, I've got a special offer for you. As a listener of this podcast, you can get 20% off your very first order. All you need to do is click the link in the show notes and pop in the code POLYW20 at checkout. They've got more than just collagen and hydration too. They've got creatine, they've got blends, supplements. So it's a perfect chance to explore their range and make the most of that 20% off. And then exhaling through your nose, feeling the belly fall. So breathing in again through the nose and feeling the belly fall, okay? Next, place your two hands around the bottom two ribs. So we're going to keep that movement going in the belly, but this time we're going to really focus on breathing into the hands and feeling the sides of your ribs expand. So as you breathe in through your nose, the belly should rise a little bit, and then we feel this expansion of the ribs in a 360-degree way. And then as you exhale, let it go, and you should feel the ribs contract and the belly fall. So breathing in, belly rises. We feel a 360-degree lateral expansion of the ribs, so forwards and backwards and sideways. And then when you exhale, feeling that go. So breathing in, belly rises, ribs expand, and then just letting it go. Now we are going to practice now breathing into the kind of the final emergency respiratory muscles. But when we practice breathing in this way, I don't want you to worry about the chest muscles, but I just want you to, for now, be able to locate them so that you can start to realize when you're using these, because we don't really need to be using these very often, as I've explained before. So we're going to carry on breathing in and out through our nose. So this time I recommend keeping your hands on your ribs. This is the easiest way because you can kind of feel your belly rising as well as your ribs expanding. So breathing in through the nose, belly rises, ribs expand. And then can you now feel how it feels to breathe up into the chest? Make sure your shoulders are not rising. We want to keep the shoulders low. And then just as you exhale, you feel everything go, everything just relaxing. So breathing in through the nose, belly, ribs, up into the chest, but keeping the shoulders relaxed. And then gently exhaling through your nose. feeling the chest full, the ribs contract, and the belly relax. Let's just do this one more time. So breathing in through the nose, belly, ribs, up into the chest, locating that feeling, which we don't want to be using very often, but just so you can feel it, and then just letting that go. So I really recommend practicing this exercise until you feel really confident that you can connect with these different breathing muscles and connect with this way of breathing. Only when you feel like you can easily locate these different muscles, move on to this next practice. Otherwise, just stay here for a while. Just practice this for a little longer. Okay, so now we're going to move on to how we're going to be breathing in all the practices. So good biomechanical breathing, which you've kind of already practiced in the last practice, but I'm just going to talk you through it. So again, sitting upright, maybe imagining a piece of string pulling you upwards towards the ceiling. Imagine this and feel the space between your ribs widening. Place your hands on either side of your body at those lower two ribs. And then as you breathe in, you'll feel your belly gently rise. You'll feel your ribs expanding outwards. And then as you breathe out, you feel your ribs moving inwards and your belly fall. That is it. So breathing in, belly rises, ribs expand outwards. And as you breathe out, you feel the ribs moving inwards and the belly fall. A little pause at the bottom before taking the next breath in. And that is it. We're not worrying about the chest muscles, okay? So when you breathe like this, you are going to be doing something really amazing. You're going to be activating your vagus nerve. So this is like a calm switch for your body. It's right next to your diaphragm. It connects kind of the brain to your body, okay? And it's a part of your body's relaxation system, the parasympathetic nervous system. When you breathe, using your diaphragm effectively, using your intercostal muscles effectively, the gentle movement stimulates the vagus nerve, sending signals to slow your heart rate, to lower your stress hormones, and help you feel calmer. It is like pressing a big reset button for your nervous system. And that's why breathing like this, breathing the full capacity of your diaphragm, is so powerful. It really does help your body switch from fight or flight mode to rest and relax mode. Now you understand the biomechanics of a good breath, how you ventilate. We are moving on to focus on your cellular respiration, the biochemistry part of breathing. Now, because dysfunctional and inefficient breathing often means we are breathing high up in our chests and far too quickly, we tend to overbreathe. And that just simply means that we are blowing off more carbon dioxide than actually is helpful, which in turn increases our sensitivity to the carbon dioxide, which makes us feel more breathless when we're walking up hills or if we're exercising. And it keeps us, as we said before, in that loop of inefficient breathing. What you want to do is to normalize your breathing biochemistry. And that involves reducing the volume of air you are actually bringing into your body. So as you've learned, one of the functions of carbon dioxide is to act as the key, the catalyst for the release of oxygen from the red blood cells, from the trucks, if you remember, into your cells. When we breathe gently, softly, lightly, what happens is that more oxygen is actually released from the blood into the cells to fuel your brain, your muscles, your organs, because there is going to be more carbon dioxide in your body, in the blood. We're not blowing it off. So there's going to be more keys to unlock those trucks. So this is really important because we're going to get a much better oxygen uptake. It's also going to reduce your sensitivity to carbon dioxide. You're going to become much more tolerant to that feeling you've got of air hunger when you've got a buildup of carbon dioxide in your body. Okay, to practice this, the aim is to keep your breathing as quiet and soft as possible. We absolutely shouldn't hear ourselves breathing during the day or at night. So, sitting up tall or lying down if you prefer. Again, just imagining and feeling the space between your ribs widening. With your mouth closed, your jaws relaxed, closing down your eyes if that feels good. Just taking a moment now just to breathe in and out of your nose. And if you want to, you can place your hands around the lower two ribs. And we're just going to start breathing with good biomechanics. So feeling the belly rise, the ribs expand on the inhale, and then just falling on the exhale. Now we're going to add in gentle, soft, and light breathing. So notice your breath as it enters and leaves your nose, keeping the belly and the ribs moving in the way that we've learned in the previous video, but now focusing on the airflow as it moves in and out of your nose. Feel that slightly colder air entering your nose, the slightly warmer air leaving. Breathing should be so quiet that the fine hairs within your nostrils do not move. And at the top of the inhale, just bringing a feeling of total relaxation to your body, and just allow a really slow, soft, relaxed breath out. So the air should leave your body slowly, effortlessly. This should be so easy. So your breathing volume, the amount of air you're breathing, should now be less than what it was before you started this practice. We want the breath to be so gentle, yet keeping that expansion of the belly and the ribs. So if you feel like you'd like to take a slightly bigger breath, you have a slight feeling of air hunger, that is good. That means you are taking in less air, you're building up that tolerance to that feeling of air hunger, that feeling of carbon dioxide building up. So it's about breathing in less air. Now, if you do notice that your breathing rhythm is getting a little bit faster or feeling a little bit chaotic, and that you have a need for air and it's becoming too much, then if this is the case, just breathe normally for a little while, just let it go, and then just resume gentle, light breathing. Okay, so just ensuring that breath is so light, so soft, so gentle, and enjoy it. Enjoy that feeling. S is for slow. When we slow down our breathing rate, we can improve the gas exchange as it allows a greater volume of air per minute to arrive down through the lungs to the alveoli, those small air sacs in the lungs where gas exchange takes place. This is because less volume of air per minute is lost to that dead space, that upper part of our chest, where there's no other function than just to transport the air into the lungs. It always amazes me, but your heart rate changes with every breath that you take. When you inhale, the heart actually beats faster for that moment. And when you breathe out, it slows down. So the longer you exhale, the more relaxed and calm you feel. So we're going to practice this now. So sitting up tall or lying down, again, just imagining the space between your ribs widening, your mouth closed, jaws relaxed, breathing in and out of your nose. Again, if you want to, placing the hands around the ribs or putting them on your belly, wherever they feel comfortable. So just starting to breathe with really good biomechanics. So feeling the belly rise. On the inhale, ribs expand, and then falling on the exhale. Now we're going to be breathing gently, like we learned in the last video. So gently, softly, light breaths in and out of the nose. And now we're going to just slow down each breath, keeping it so light and gentle. Can you now extend those exhales? So this is such a great practice, not only to improve your breathing biomechanics and biochemistry, but also to quieten the mind. So just taking Slow breaths in and out through the nose, keeping them so gentle. So we're not taking big breaths here, but we're keeping them expansive. So as we're breathing in this way, remember we're activating the vagus nerve. We're focusing on gentle, soft breathing. All of this is helping to get you out of your mind and into your body. So belly, ribs, gentle breath, slowing it down. And if your mind starts to wander, that's absolutely fine. It will. Just gently bringing it back to your breath. So this really is simply a practice of breathing in this way, breathing mindfully. It's the act also of just noticing when your mind starts to wander and bringing it back to the breathing. And every time our mind does wander, we bring it back. That's almost like doing a bicep curl for the mind. That is what meditation and mindfulness is. So learning to breathe efficiently is a form of meditation and mindfulness. It is going to calm your mind. It is going to reduce anxiety. It is going to be signaling to your nervous system that you are safe, that you can return down into your parasympathetic mode, out of your stress response. So now you've learned how to breathe optimally using the nose, breathing gently, slowly, and expansively. Before you go, just to let you know that you'll find a selection that all designed to support your everyday breathing, to ease anxiety and help you build a more resilient, flexible nervous system so you can feel calmer and bring a little more steadiness into your daily life. Everything I share is designed to meet you where you are and to fit into real busy lives. Just go to hollywarren.com and click on the resource library. If you'd like to stay connected between episodes, you can also find me over on Instagram at Polly Warren Coaching. This is where I share simple reminders and tools and reflections to help you come back to calm throughout the week. And if you're enjoying Take a Breath, it would mean so much if you could take a moment to rate, review, and subscribe to the podcast. It really does help this podcast reach more women who might need a little space to breathe too. Thank you so much for being here and for taking this time for yourself. And remember, sometimes all you need to do is take a breath.